Cioffi. Welcome to another edition of Comedians Hangout. This is episode number 2. Today is November 24th, 2014, and our topic is Obama's immigration order. That's right. Last Thursday, our president made a speech on TV talking to us, everybody. Everybody, that is, who was not watching the 3 major networks, because I don't believe they were carrying it. He made a great speech. Let me say something about speeches. Okay, I love speeches. I love people who go out in front of people and talk and make a point, try to be persuasive, get the facts out there, use some intelligence. I Have a Dream. I remember that one. The Gettysburg Address, I wasn't there. I didn't see the video, but I liked it, what I heard about it. This speech, he was on for about 15 minutes. It was quite a speech. One of the most eloquent, well thought out, and actually probably one of the top 5 speeches I've ever seen.
He speak good.
He speak good.
You speak real good.
I tell you, all that said, I don't think I agree. I agree with the sentiments. I agree with the sentiments of what he said. That's right. It's these people who pick our fruit and make our beds are people, just like you and me.
But he totally went against what was a few years ago when he.
That's true. Hang on, Dan. I'm going to give you your. I'm going to give you your set. I'm just setting it up right now.
I got to wear a hat. Tim's wearing one. I got to.
Everybody wear it. I have to wear a hat. If you're bald, wear a hat. The only guy who's got hair on here is Fusco. So just bear with the hats. And
one controversy at a time, please. Let's go back to the president.
Obama. Now, if you are familiar with what he is proposing, apparently the Congress of the United States, or the Senate of the United States, passed a very progressive immigration bill to fix what he rightly pointed out is a broken system. We have a broken system here. We've had it for 30 some odd years, an immigration system that is broken.
Longer than that.
At least 30, though. I was going to give an anecdote where later on the show where I remember 30 years ago seeing something saying, "Wow, something's wrong."
Yeah.
But anyway, he didn't. This bill passed the Senate, did not pass the Congress. Now, after the election, conveniently, a couple weeks afterwards, the president has, by executive order, and I don't really understand what that is. We can go into that a little bit. Is now going to protect about 5 million undocumented or illegal, depending on your point of view, apparently, immigrants in this country, people that have been here for more than 5 years, that have no criminal record, that have children born here or brought here very early. Those people will no longer be deported. That's how I understand this bill. That's all it's saying. They're not going to deport these people. Like if you got pulled over and they found out you were one of these people, I guess they would hand you over to immigration or to Homeland Security, and they put you on a bus and they send you back to wherever you came from. They're not doing that anymore for that percentage of people. He's not going to do it for the criminals, he says.
Yeah, he says. Okay. Okay,
the people that have violated United States law, which technically, if you came into this country without going through the proper channels for immigration, you have broken the law technically. Okay, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, Daddy. We're gonna get there. So, all that said, we are very happy here today to have a panel of 3, including myself. I'm the host, so I don't really count. We have 3. I'm going to do quick introductions here, fellas. I'm going to give you a moment to introduce yourselves. And first up is Mr. Danny Lofaro. Danny, tell us, who are you and what are you?
Danny Lofaro, stand-up comic, and I live in Suffolk.
Okay, Suffolk, Massachusetts.
Yeah, Suffolk, Massachusetts. Louis C.K. was my roommate at one time. I used to
okay.
help him write.
Very good.
But, I do stand-up comedy, and that's it.
Okay.
I'm going back to school. That's it.
All right, cool. And our next guy up is Rudy Fusco. Fusco.
A lot of Italians on this thing.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
Fusco's fine. Fusco's fine.
Fusco's fine. And Rudy, you're a stand-up comic who lives in New York. Am I correct?
That's correct. In Suffolk County, Long Island.
It's Suffolk County, Long Island, not Suffolk County, Massachusetts. Yeah.
That's right. And I'm a contractor by trade, and I do stand up for. That's my passion, and I enjoy it very much. But I've had a political past in terms of managing some congressional campaigns and some local campaigns. I have my positions. I stand conservative on some issues and liberal on other issues, so it's not easy to pigeonhole. But there are consistent positions.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to those. All right. And finally, is let's see if we can get him up here. My old good friend, and former podcasting buddy, and now current podcasting buddy, Mr. Tim Thomson.
Is this working? Can you see me? I'm an old sailor. I hunt squid for a living. I have been searching for the Kraken for 30 years. Is this about the Kraken? Hello?
Yeah, well, kind of.
How do you live in this little box? What? I am sick of these Swedes coming to our country and taking our whaling jobs.
Yeah, dude,
yeah, they're really dragging this country down.
You need to comb your beard. Okay, so we'll start. Let's start with you, Danny. What do you have a general overall opinion about Obama's immigration order that he made last week?
Like, I have a few things. Like you said, I mean, you came to this country already illegally. That's a crime or whatever you want to call it. Like, on his point, I understand making them legal. It brings tax money. You know what some people say? Oh, now their taxes, they can be taxed. But if you look at it, half these immigrants don't have tax-paying jobs. Most of them that work send their money back to their countries if they could find some way to stop that, because, with all that money going back, it's not circulating in America, and we all know how the economy is doing now, here. So that's an issue too. I don't think it was a good idea. He looks hypocritical because of what he said 2 years ago with the "I'm not the emperor" speech. You know what I mean?
Right. So you feel that this was the actions outside of his actual powers as the president of the United States.
Yeah. I just don't, and I don't think it was a good idea. I really don't. I mean, to set them all back. I mean, yeah, some of them have kids and stuff like that. I understand that, and it'll be crazy. I mean, but we really need to do something in controlling the influx of all the people coming to this country, because the people that are already here, the Americans, need help.
Well, one of the things he made, one of the points he made in this great speech, and I'm telling you, it's a great speech. I didn't say I agree with what he's saying. Yeah. It was a great moving speech. He did a great job. He's like in his stride. You know what I mean? He's been doing it for a while. He's it takes like 6 years to really become good at that. He said, it's practically impossible to think that we could take 5 million people and send them back to where they came from.
And that's, I understand that point. But we also should try to stop 5 million more from coming in.
Yeah.
The Germans did it.
The Germans.
You know what? This country,
we can figure it out.
This country was built on, where we all came. We all came here. We killed the Indians, and America came. But you look at it, each, country that had their influx of immigrants that came in, they helped build this country where it is. But now you look at it, there's so many, I don't know, I just feel like this country is really on the way out with everything. I'm going to go off in different tangents, like the educational system is really screwed up now and stuff. I think the country in itself really needs a lot more work than focusing on, helping immigrants. I don't want to come across like I'm against them. I'm not, shit, this is crap. This country was made for immigrants, but to have 5 more million people here, I don't think that's going to help employment, and I really don't think 5 million of them are going to be taxpayers. I don't see that, and I don't see the whole 5 million keeping that money where half their family lives in their other countries, keeping that money circulating in America. It's just going to be going to the other countries. So it's really not helping anything. You're just giving them, you know, citizenship. That's really what you're doing. You're kind of making it easier. I know it's harder to send $5 million back. I know it's probably impossible, but I guess this is just easier. Give everybody the citizenship, start over, and, you know, I just don't agree with it. I just think this country has enough problems.
Right.
You know, and again, like very.
Rudy, are you shaking your head, Rudy? I think Rudy's shaking his head a little bit.
Yeah, that was my way of raising my hand without actually looking like an idiot. Danny, I hear what you say a lot.
Yeah.
And I view it, some of those points as somewhat oversimplistic. And let me explain to you why, and hear me out, because I have at least 2 points I want to make. One is that the so-called undocumented workers came here because they were starving and they needed to feed their families and provide for their families. So they were forced to come here. And part of that is due in part to our own agricultural policies, where we would dump on our neighbor and then it caused massive unemployment. So now they're starving. I'm talking about Canada and Mexico now. They're starving. Yeah. And they will look for ways to find work. The easiest way is to cross the border and find work here.
That is true.
The second point you make is talking about sending. That's 3 points I want to make. The second point you made was sending money back to their native countries. Well, I got news for you. If you did the numerical analysis, the amount that let's settle a point that they earned it. It's their money. They could do what they want with it.
Yeah. And
they worked hard for it. Okay. Now, and they're doing what we had to lock up some people to do, like support their families. You know, so. Yeah. The amount that they actually send home is like a needle in a haystack compared to the amount that we spend on things like U.S. foreign aid and wars overseas and things of that nature. Yeah. We spend a lot more overseas than these poor guys sending back to their families. Point number 3 is while they are here, they're utilizing services and purchasing goods, which goes into our sales tax base that our local economy relies very heavily on. So it's not like they're a drain. And anyway, a lot of contractors who would pay these people or homeowners who are paying these undocumented workers are doing so with post-tax money. They've already paid the tax on it. So their income tax, these are net dollars anyway. So somewhere along the line, those taxes are being paid. So I take exception when somebody says, oh, you're sending money overseas. It's a very small amount. They actually work for it. They earn it. They want
That's a good. I mean, I guess I kind of look at it like, you know, I mean, I'm on the fence on it because it does. It has good points like you brought out. You know what I mean? And then I guess it has its bad points too. I don't know. I mean, I look at it also like a lot of the jobs, like when I was growing up, you know, when you go into school, you get those factory jobs, you know, little remedial jobs. A lot of those jobs aren't available too for these kids that want to make extra money for their family. You know, I mean, it's not a tremendous deal. It's just that you do. You see that a lot. You know, growing up, you work at a factory to help your mom out. You know, I grew up in a single household. Nowadays, these kids, they can't get the jobs. You know, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. You know what?
They don't want to work.
Let me tell you something. I mean, what it is you're looking at
really good points, though.
He does, sure. Well, the point to me, a lot of these jobs that Americans haven't wanted to do in a long time.
Well, you also got to look at, you know, that most American households have smaller amounts of people in their house. I mean, I grew up in Brentwood, so I know living next door to like 23 people in the house, you could get paid $2 an hour and afford to live there. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to I'm just living with my mom, I can't afford to help her out on $2 an hour.
Right.
You know, coming from a single mom that has a house to pay, a mortgage and everything, I need to make a little more money. You know what I'm saying? So it's, you know, it's harder. I'm not saying everybody's like that. I mean, my family came from Italy. So I don't have a problem with people come to this country and making this country a better place. I mean, like I said in the beginning, everybody came here from another country.
Well, look, I'm a third generation. My grandfather came here in 1913 or 1912. I can't remember. But he came through Ellis Island, as a lot of Italian Americans did, and actually was not. You know how he gained citizenship? He gained citizenship by volunteering.
Beauty pageant.
By the volunteering What did you say, Tim?
He won a beauty
He
pageant.
could have. He was a handsome guy. Look at me.
Mr. Ellis Island.
Look at me, Mr. Ellis Island. Mr. Ellis Island 1912.
He won the cholera competition.
He gained citizenship by volunteering for the United States Army and going into World War I, where he was seriously wounded.
Yeah.
Now, that, again, is something that I don't know if that – I think that's still an option here in the United States, that if you
So you want to send them to war, like they did with the Irish. They sent them down to the Civil War.
No, but that's what I mean. There's a lot of people that came to this country from all over, South America, anywhere, and they want to make a good life. And I don't see sending them back. I think that's more harm than anything else because, like, you know, you were saying before.
Yeah, but I love, you know what? If you ever read about these places like Sweden or Denmark and you get unlimited health care and you only have to work 28 hours a day and you guarantee $90,000 a year, I want to go, but they won't let me in. If I tried to sneak in, they'd send me back.
We stick out like a sore thumb.
America was founded. I mean, the Swedes.
I don't have wooden shoes. I hate wooden shoes, by the way. So go ahead.
But
that's the Dutch.
I don't wear clogs. Go ahead.
America's different from the Swedes and all that. We were founded by immigrants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to like totally throw these people out in the same way, in the same sense, is like kind of like going against how this country was formed, how we formed our beliefs. You know what I mean? So yeah, I believe keeping them here to be constructive, like you were saying before, but also, you know, I feel like, you know, you also got to be careful because there's a lot of them that are, you know, criminals. You know what I mean? Some of them might have, you know, some of them might just slip under the woodwork where they don't have a criminal record, but they're in gangs and stuff like that. But not all of them are.
They're always going to be people that bypass the law. That's just the way it is.
You know, I know you were saying before, the gentleman to my left.
Rudy.
My left. Yeah, Rudy. You know, he came up with really valid points. I mean, and that's what I mean. I'm on the fence where I don't believe in sending them back. I believe,
yeah, all I know is that my lawnmower, that guy charges me any more money because of this, I'm against it.
Yeah.
All right?
Now it's going to go up because they got to pay taxes. You're screwed.
All right, join in, guy. Come on. Dead air's no good. Come on, say something.
Who, me?
I don't care. Any one of you. Say something.
I don't want to get sent back to my country. That's all.
Okay.
These wizard people come here and lay their eggs and think, because I lay my egg here, they're a citizen.
Only their eggs are citizens, buddy.
Well, but they have to stay and watch their clutch. I can't leave my clutch of eggs. Is that what we're talking about?
You know, the Supreme Court
I don't know.
The Supreme Court made
my family came here. My family came here because they were tossed out of Ireland because they didn't accept horse rape, but America did. And they were proud horse rapists. They established themselves in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, where they delivered ice and raped horses.
Horse rape is very big in Bay Ridge.
Rudy, you want to say something serious? Go ahead, Rudy.
Yeah. You know, on the issue of laying the eggs or having children here, the Supreme Court decided that a long time ago, that if you were born on American shores, you were automatically an American citizen.
Yep. And
that's still been the law since then. Now, getting back to the criminal aspect, in the 2000 election cycle, I managed a congressional campaign in the second CD on Long Island. The seat is now held by Steve Israel, although he was one of our opponents. And we talked about this issue, and the plan that I had come up with on behalf of my candidate to discuss, because immigration was an issue back then as well, was that one of the issues was we have to have an investigative point at which an immigrant who's applying for status as a documented worker could pass through, but if he's a criminal, that he wouldn't be allowed in. So it would be a screening process, but not a screening process that was so hard that nobody could get in. It would have to be something reasonable. So it was a question of, well, what's reasonable? If it's a Mexican drug bang and Mexican drug gangbanger, forget about it. Not getting in. If it's a rape, it's a criminal, a thief, not getting in. But if it's a guy trying to get shoes for his kids and pay for his non-public,
what if he's a used car salesman? Can we let used cars? I don't think we should.
No, but Rudy's got a point though.
Burro salesman.
A burro, used burro.
Yeah, but they have cars. The problem is these countries don't really have the record keeping that United States and other Western nations might have. It's really hard to determine. I mean, we got to avoid the problem, like with the Italian influx back at the turn of the 20th century. That's how the mafia got a foothold and really organized crime. And we got to avoid what happened with the Italians.
Well, prohibition kind of helped a mafia and organized crime, but yeah.
Still, I mean. Stabbing went up 700%.
No, the Mexican record keeping today is not what the Italians were 100 years ago. The Mexicans are watching for drug infiltration. They get funding from the U.S. to enforce drug laws to keep them coming across the border. Of course, there's a lot of discussion about whether that's intentional or not. That maybe we need the war on drugs to keep spending money on militarization of our police forces, but that's another issue.
All right, so let me shift gears for a second because I want to say, we keep saying that these people are from Mexico or Latin America or South America, but what about the illegal immigrants that are here from other countries? What should we do about them? Do they have the same? Rudy was saying that the fact is they live in countries that are desperately poor. The people in the south of the border. But what about people north of the border or people that come from Europe or Asia? Do they deserve any different treatment or any different perspective?
No. The law should apply the same to everybody.
Yeah.
The law should apply the same to everybody, but it shouldn't be something that makes it impossible to get into the country. If you're an otherwise law-abiding citizen of sound mind and you have a purpose that you're going to need that you're going to satisfy here, whether it be menial labor or rocket science, it doesn't matter, then you should be allowed entry, and you should be documented.
But we do, wait a second, we do have immigration laws, we have an immigration administration, we have a process for people to come in legally. Why is that not working?
Apparently it's too difficult, or it's too convoluted.
Yeah, if you're a high-tech person, you generally have it a little easier than a low-tech person. That's why the low-tech people, they just get in there any way they can because they're starving. The high-tech guy is not starving. He's looking for a better job or he has a specific talent that somebody here wants. But the low-tech guy, he's generally very, very hungry, and he's got an obligation to feed his wife and his family, and he's coming here because he's hungry. Now, I've had a chance to meet a lot of these guys, talk to them. I've done so for the last 20 years, on and off, having these undocumented people work side by side with me, and I haven't met one I really didn't like. They were very focused on their purpose. They were here. They're going to go home in about 10 years. Maybe the house will be built. The kids will be grown. They give up a lot to come here, and they're very hard working. The work ethic is next to none. They really work hard. You get a few bad apples, but they very quickly become apparent, and you just you switch apples. So very few of them are spoiled, although they can get spoiled. We call it Americanized, we call it. But the typical person, low-tech person who comes here to work menial jobs is sometimes a highly trained person in his own country who has to work this way in order to feed his family. And I got another respect for most of the people who are here, documented or undocumented, when it comes to doing this type of work. It's hard work. Most of us don't want to do it. I can't do it anymore. A lot of the work that I got them doing, what they're doing here, it's hard.
Right. Go ahead.
That's the thing.
And the kids don't want to do it either. The kids don't want to do it.
Yeah, well, that's a big problem, I think, that has just been brewing generation after generation. Like, I feel like my generation, I'm 45, I feel like my generation, and maybe one afterwards, kind of tailed off. And now these kids, with all the technology and all that, the kids have become a lot lazier. They don't want to do those jobs. Like, I would go next door and mow the lawn for $20 and stuff like that. It's just a big problem within America where in 20 years, man, this country's they're all going to be like laying down playing video games and texting, But like you were saying, it's easier for a doctor to come from another country and get their citizenship because they're a doctor. It's a lot harder for somebody that works with their hands to come here. Maybe they're not as, book smart. It's harder. They have to find ways to get here. But I think a big problem, with let's say the whole terrorist thing, you don't want to sit there and say, well, hey, we're going to let one country in, but we're not going to let, like, let's say Middle East in because that looks like stereotyping and racism.
Yeah, don't let that country in.
Yeah, that's it. No, but that's what I'm saying. So you can't just pinpoint. So I think the biggest problem is, all right, the people in here, like you were saying, run them through a test, check their backgrounds, see who's a criminal, see who's not. But we really should stop letting people in altogether right now with all these problems going on with the, the whole terrorist thing, and just try to get this country in order. Even the people that came in here, whatever, get them their citizenships, send the ones that are in gangs or whatever. If they can find them out, send them back, have a stricter rule as far as sending them back, not just, opening the door, getting them on a bus, and then they're back here in 2 days, making sure that they don't come back in. As far as letting them in, as far as getting them their citizenship, that's fine. But having a stricter regulation on the crime rate and coming from anywhere, Sweden, whatever, if they're criminals.
Danny, that would work if they weren't born here. A lot of those gang members you're talking about are born here, American citizens.
Well,
we send them.
Oh, no, I know.
The
ones that are born here, you lock them up. The ones that are born here, you lock them up. There's white gang members that should just be locked up. I'm just saying
that's
some that come here.
That's a criminal justice issue, not an immigration issue.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, but that's what I'm saying. If you're going to, with the whole immigration issue, if you're going to, make them citizens, it also has to be it has to be really tough on the background checks. You know what I mean?
So how are they going to do that for 5 million people? We have enough trouble giving like 100,000 people on Long Island their money from Sandy.
Okay,
we're going to give 5 million background checks?
Okay, but we can't just give 5 million people citizenships easy.
Yahoo didn't do a background check on their CEO. He lied and made him CEO. That is one person. 5 million people who come from towns where a rooster is the mayor, and we have to do background checks. It's going to be impossible. I say Hunger Games, where we have a giant battle royale. The family that survives, they get to mow my lawn. They win. We use a pay-per-view money. Everyone watches it. 70 million people watch that. Boom. That funds to do the background checks for the next round of death sports.
No, but I'm saying you can't just give 5 million people a citizenship without checking their backgrounds.
Well, of course, but you got to have. But it's such a daunting task. It's going to be.
I know.
We should try to do something simple like get to Mars. All right,
they're here.
Get to Mars.
Yeah, right. Let those 5 million people build a bridge to Mars.
That's it.
All right, gentlemen, I want to just, we're coming to the end of the show. I want to just give you an opportunity. I'll give you, if you want to say for 30 seconds, just give us your final thoughts on this issue for today. Obviously, it's a very complex issue, and we're not going to solve this kind of problem on a 30-minute podcast. But I'd love to hear for what you have to say. Tim, first your final thoughts on the subject.
It's, in a perfect world, this seems like a really great law. Avoiding the whole legality of it, I'm not even sure if it was legal what happened. I mean, but hell, the New Deal wasn't considered legal either, and that seemed to work out for us. It's a thing that's going to take 15 years, and everyone wants something done immediately. So I don't know. Maybe like 10 years from now, it was a good thing. Who knows?
Rudy, what's your final thoughts?
We never got a chance to speak about whether the president could do this with a executive order. Presidents do these things by executive order, and Congress cannot or will not act due to various politicking. I support what they do. The real nuts and bolts will come in when we actually implement what he wants to do. I don't support him on most things, but I support him on this one. And I think what we need is a comprehensive immigration reform law that will allow workers to be organized, to join labor unions, to be able to work here and pay their fair share, and to become assimilated into society like the rest of us.
Okay. Danny Lofaro, your final thoughts, buddy.
I'm just going to vote for Rudy, that's all. I like his points. No, but because he's got good points. But, yeah, I mean, listen, you got the 5 million people. You're going to do this whole thing with the citizenship. I just know it's a daunting task, but really, you got to really do some background checks on them. You know what I mean? And, you know, like Rudy says, man, you know, you're on the fence. You know, he's got some really, you know, you got a good point. But you can't just say, all right, everybody's American citizenships. Here you go. I think it's just going to be a really, really difficult task ahead. But you really got to do some background checks. You know, this way you can assimilate the people that wanted to come here, wanted to help their family, like, you know, innocent people would, and hardworking people.
Right.
Get them as Americans and get the ones that are, you know, the bad apple, get them out of here.
Yeah. Well, my final thoughts are this: if I could put together a 15 minutes like Obama did last week, I'd be on Comedy Central. The guy gave an amazing speech.
Yeah.
Do I think this problem is not going to get solved? I feel bad. They're real people. It's people people who will come from all sorts of situations.
Yeah.
Who are in this situation. I feel bad that people. That's the number one thing to me. But you guy can't break the law either. Is he breaking the law? Is he the imperial president? I encourage you guys to watch that little sketch that Saturday Night Live did about Schoolhouse Rock and the executive order being something that has nothing to do really with our traditions.
I just hope a lot of these guys don't do comedy.
Well, we could have gotten on.
Oh, God, we didn't even think of that.
Thank you, Danny Lofaro. Thank you very much, Rudy Fusco, Tim Thomson. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully. You're watching Comedians Hangout. Please check us out at comedianshangout.com. Thank you, everybody. See you later. See ya.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.